Good morning, I'm Adam Sexton. Democrats in Washington are still looking for a path forward after the Build Back Better bill and election reform legislation both stalled out in the Senate. But the polls show voter dissatisfaction growing and the political headwinds building ahead of this year's midterm elections. Here this morning to discuss that and much more, Representative Annie Kuster. Thank you for joining us, Congresswoman.
Great to be with you, Adam. Thanks for having me.
So last time you were on the program, the infrastructure bill was a done deal, and I asked you, what if nothing else gets done? At the time, you were confident, but that confidence hasn't borne out, at least in regards to your fellow Democrats in the Senate. So now that these big pieces of the Build Back Better and the Freedom to Vote Act are sidelined, there's disappointment among voters who wanted to see something get done. So how do you convince them to stick with you and your colleagues in November when the party can't even seem to agree with itself on how to deliver on key promises?
I think the key, Adam, is patience. I try to be patient with the United States Senate. They call it the most deliberative body. That's a slow deliberation. And I want to share a conversation that I had with Senator Joe Manchin, who has been the most deliberative on this package and slowed things down a bit. But I know there are parts of the package that he really cares about. I've talked with him about child care, for instance. We've got to re-energize our child care sector. We have 1,500 job openings in New Hampshire in the child care sector, and they need help. And they need help so that everyone else can get back to work. People with young families are struggling right now. The other piece of this, the child tax credit, Senator Manchin supports that. So I'm very confident that we will have a future version of the child tax credit that's made such a difference in the lives, particularly of low-income, hardworking families, families struggling with 2 or 3 part-time jobs. And then there are climate provisions that he does support. So I think we need to work with the Senate. Obviously, the 50-50 is very, very close. Every vote counts, and we need Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema to come up with a package that they can support, and then let's get this done for the American people so we can get our economy back on track after COVID.
The latest St. Anselm College Survey Center poll has President Biden's job approval rating in New Hampshire at just 40%. Why do you believe so many voters have soured so sharply on this administration and Democrats in general in Washington?
Well, look, I think people have really struggled, Adam. You know, New Hampshire was hit so hard with the Delta variant. We had among the highest numbers in the country per capita over the fall. We went up over 400 people with COVID hospitalized. You know, that's pressing our hospitals, struggling to get by. We reached a peak in December of 475, and then the Omicron. So people are sick unto death of this, and we have the tools to get past it. The vaccines, get your booster shot. That's important so you don't get so sick with Omicron. You won't go to the hospital. You will not die if you've got your booster. We've got masking, we've got testing. We've got to make sure that we get past this pandemic, and then people's lives will start to look up. It's really been a struggle. Mental health issues, domestic violence, addiction, these are the issues that we're going to need to deal with. And I just think it's been a tough winter in New Hampshire. It's freezing, freaking cold, and everybody's just sick unto death of it. So I think the spring is going to be much better. We look at the summers. We've gotten all the way down to 8 people in the entire state in the hospital with Omicron, with coronavirus in the summers. Let's get out there and enjoy the beautiful life that we have in New Hampshire. And I think people's attitudes will improve. I just think this is a really tough time. They're very discouraged.
We could be seeing the beginning of the end of the Omicron surge here in New Hampshire. And some are saying it's time for a dramatic rollback of pandemic precautions to try and get back to as close to normal as possible. Do you agree with that it's time to just move?
Yeah, I think people are just sick and tired of it. And what I've been encouraged by is the scientists have predicted a dramatic drop in cases. We've already, just within the last week, gone from 400 all the way down under 300 people in the hospital. I keep an eye on that hospitalization number because that's the one that really makes a difference in people's lives. You know, if they get a mild case of Omicron that's like the flu, they're out for 5 days and they can get back. But I have have a niece with long-term COVID who's been dealing with it since March of 2020, and I want to make sure that, let's get past it. But yes, everybody's ready to, ditch the masks. We're going to need testing because you feel sick, you don't want to get your family or your colleagues sick at work. The vaccines work. This was Project Warp Speed. It was extraordinary, and the previous administration should have taken greater pride in the vaccine. I wish President Trump had not taken it in secret last January. I wish he'd told the whole world, this is a great vaccine, it works. So I'm interested, companies are continuing to require it because they want everybody to be safe and they want everyone to come back to work. And, as I say, enjoy their families this spring and summer. Let's get outdoors. Things go much better when you're outdoors or when you can keep your distance. So just stay safe and use practical precautions, and I think we can put it behind us. I'm very optimistic.
I brought up polls earlier, and significant majorities are in support of this legislation to ban stock trading by members of Congress. But House Democratic leadership hasn't taken too kindly to this bill. It's called the Trust in Congress Act. Why is this being treated like it's a bad idea? It seems like a no-brainer, maybe, to keep the Congress out of the stock market altogether.
It's a great idea. I signed on as a co-sponsor, and I'm encouraging my colleagues to move this bill. No member of Congress should be using any kind of information that we get in the normal course of our work to make trades in the stock market. It's disappointing, and I'm going to keep trying to convince them to do the right thing.
So this is a ban on all trading, not just the insider trading, right? You support the Trust Act?
Right.
Okay, Trust in Congress.
Yes, absolutely. I don't believe that members should be doing individual stock trading. There's plenty of options to put their funds in mutual funds and have somebody else make the decisions. And that's the way I've gone in my family, and I think that's the way most members should approach it.
Former President Trump recently suggested that if he's elected president, that he would consider pardoning some of the people who attacked the U.S. Congress on January 6th. If that comes to pass, what do you think that would mean for this country?
I think it's shocking, and I think it's a tremendous mistake on his part. I'm with Governor Sununu. I'm with the union leader editorial board on this. We need to enforce the rule of law. Adam, you and I have talked a number of times on your show about January 6th and about my experience that day in the gallery, how I feared for my life. I wanted to tell you that since then, I've seen the footage in the hallways from the security cameras, and it was 30 seconds from the time that I ducked into the elevator with the policeman that saved my life to the time when the rioters were in the hallway that we had just crossed. And what would have happened if, a dozen members of Congress had died that day? And I think it was a tremendous threat to our democracy. Members of our police force were maimed, many of them injuries that they continue to suffer from. There were deaths that day on the police force. And I was just shocked to hear that he is promising to, waive the charges. And I think it's interfering with the work of the January 6th committee, which is so important to restore the integrity and confidence in our government.
Circling back to the 2022 elections here, congressional redistricting is working its way through the State House. As it stands right now, you could potentially pick up a stretch of blue towns all along the seacoast there from Durham down to Portsmouth. What do you think of that map? This could give you a seat in Congress for life.
Honestly, I'm shocked. I have no idea why Republicans in the state legislature would want a deep, deep blue district. I think that's what's wrong with Congress. I've been here long enough to know that these deep red and deep blue districts create entrenched sort of people staying way too long. I don't intend to stay for life. I think these are competitive districts, and 2 purple competitive districts is a much better place for New Hampshire to be. We can have much more of a role in Congress because it disciplines us to work across the aisle, as I have my bipartisan task force on addiction and mental health, which is going to be so important in the coming months. We have to work across the aisle, Republicans and Democrats together. And I just think this map is a terrible mistake.
All right, Congresswoman Annie Kuster, thank you for joining us on Close Up.
Great to be with you, Adam. Thanks so much. Stay safe and be well.
You as well.